The truth is, I've done one actual retcon in the series, although I'm not going to say where it was. There have been other times, however, when my original intentions didn't come across clearly. In those instances, I make a point to clarify in my next game. That's not really a retcon, it's simply an attempt to guide the story towards where it was originally intended to go. That was a quote from Scott Cawthon on a Reddit post from 4 years ago. However, this doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So, FNAF retcons are what we're exploring today. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe and this is the Top 10 Scary FNAF Retcons. Let's do it. In 10 novels. The novels, while not being a retcon for the game series, were a retcon for the entirety of FNAF in a sense. They were allowing Scott to describe previous events in a new way, which is by its very definition a retcon. Quote, a piece of new information that imposes a different interpretation on previously described events, typically used to facilitate a dramatic plot shift or account for a new inconsistency. These stories provided new information that allowed things to play out differently in the series, and this is what we see the novels do. Even if it was another universe or timeline or perspective, as Scott says in another Reddit post about the novels, they were basically a way for Scott to clean up the lore of the series so that it could work properly instead of continually getting more and more complex. The rewriting of the FNAF story, even if for a different universe, was in essence a retcon for everything, so it counts. And at 9 masks. The masks from FNAF 3's Happiest Day minigame that weren't the original 5 animatronics were pretty damn confusing. Like, who could these mysterious characters be and why are they present at a ghost kid's birthday even though they probably couldn't see him? Well, what we thought were obscure versions of main characters at the time was explained away using the mediocre melodies in FNAF 6. 3 games after the original confusion had happened, been forgotten about, and then gone through that cycle a couple times. These were also explained again in the FNAF VR Halloween DLC, The Curse of Dread there, that actually allowed us to wear some of the masks present in the earlier games, worn by characters like Mike and his friends. And I mean, it's certainly a smaller retcon, but at least there's some more explanation there. It was for something we had forgotten about, yes, but at least it's better than nothing. And at 8, first victim. For a long time we thought that the puppet was the first victim, that William killed Charlie because she was an easy target, like his confidence hadn't built up as a killer yet, or maybe he was just finding his style. Feels weird to say. Nevertheless, we figured it was pretty cut and dry. That Charlie possessing the puppet was who guided the other animatronics through the whole I'm a dead kid possessing an animatronic thing, and that they were the ones trying to put them to rest, give gifts, give life, right? Well, then FNAF Ultimate Custom Night came along and utterly shattered our understanding of the timeline, with one simple line from Withered Chica, quote, I was the first, I have seen everything. We instantly forgot everything we knew about FNAF because of that. However, now we don't know if Chica means she was the first of all the victims or if she was just the first of the 5 missing children, the original 5 victims, who go on to possess the original 5 animatronics. Since we can see that in the logbook, the puppet is trying to make Cassidy happy by giving her cake, which seems to be a callback to the Happiest Day minigame, especially because it's on the page asking about your happiest day, but who came first? We still don't know. And at 7, timeline. The whole timeline has in fact been retconned multiple times, with things like the phone guy dialogue needing to be thrown out due to dialogue in later games, the sister location revelations switching things up yet again, and now, with my latest timeline, FNAF AR takes place in 2021 as we can see in the emails, but they use versions of Springtrap who they're not supposed to appear until 2023, assuming that FNAF 1 takes place in 1993 like the fast facts seem to suggest along with minimum wage calculations, but as we know it, the FNAF timeline is going to have to be retconned even another time to at least be able to fit this information in there more smoothly. The easiest fix we have right now is that they just found Springtrap a couple years before the events of the game, or potentially before opening, like the Fazbear Frights location, or at least opening it to like having people work there because guy starts working there a week before it actually opens. But I mean, like, even if you did that, it could still make things more confusing. At this point, after a whole list of retcons, I don't know if we can put anything past this series, especially with a new owner on the way. And at 6, Michael Afton. Michael Afton is one of the most frustrating topics in this series, because the fans are typically split into 2 separate groups. Those who believe that the older brother is Michael, and those who think that crying child is Michael. And then there's me, who thinks that both are correct. However, the Michael Afton identity may have even been retconned without us knowing it, since we still aren't 100% sure about Michael Afton's identity. If he was originally the older brother, the reveal that Mike knew what Nightmare looked like in addition to all the other info that points to the crying child would have been a retcon, until the Fazbear Frights book series came out, revealing that the older brother in the story chews gum, and then so does Michael Afton. Yet if the identity of Michael Afton is the crying child, that could also be a retcon, because after all, there is more evidence pointing to the crying child being Michael than the older brother, yet they both do have some evidence. I still think it's both, and until Scott says otherwise, my mind isn't gonna change. Halfway through into number 5, Staying Alive. A lot of people seem to think that William Afton died in FNAF 3, or did think that at least before Fazbear Frights and Bunny Call released. However, within the story, The Man in Room 1280, we get an explanation that completely changed the way some people looked at the games, not including yours truly though. I was calling it from the start. Springtrap was never dead. That revelation being that William Afton was being kept alive by the spirit of another one of his victims, bringing the initial kill count up to 7. With this kid, going by Andrew in the book, wearing an alligator mask like we see in the Happiest Day minigame, this kid was keeping William alive through every fire, through every incident, and through being taken off life support so that he could keep suffering in our world for his crimes. This is also the book's representation of the one you should not have killed. However, to those who thought that William had died in FNAF 3, this was certainly an interesting breakthrough. There are still some people who think that William died. As I could tell from the comments, there was someone who was actually telling me that I was extremely wrong and that I should do more research. But then when I said that I read the book, they're like, oh well, I'm getting my information from the games, but whatever. I'm like, bro. This story though still proves otherwise. He was being kept alive, alright? He should have been dead, but he wasn't. This also proves that the one you should not have killed is a guy, and not Cassidy, just because Andrew is a dude in the book, just saying. And at 4, Purple Guy. Originally, we had figured out who the purple guy was, and I do believe that the original intention was to make Phone Guy the purple guy. Everything we saw until the reveal of his name was indicating such. The phone-like object in his hand, the night 3 or 4 phone call of I'm going to hide in a back room, and then the creation of Springtrap happens in that back room. However, if the series was indeed meant to end with the 3rd game, I really think that Phone Guy being Purple Guy was the intention. After all, Scott said that he made one true retcon in the series, but wasn't going to reveal where it was. And honestly, if it was going to be anything else, we would be able to tell. So it had to be something that we wouldn't miss, and that we didn't know about. And since we never got confirmation on the Phone Guy is Purple Guy scenario, this could have been Scott's original intention, since Afton's name wasn't revealed until Sister Location after the book had already come out, and Scott could judge the popularity of those characters so he could start introducing them into the games, like he did with William, and then like he did with Henry, who we see in the game after William's name reveal. Note the edit on this post about retcons as well. Quote, edit, to be clear, the one retcon mentioned was integrated pretty seamlessly and most people didn't notice. If it had caused problems or confusion, then I would have addressed it here, end quote. Getting close to the end into number 3, Dream Theory. Dream Theory. Was it originally intended? Do you personally believe that Dream Theory either was or still is the truth? I think so. I believe that Scott had originally intended these things to all be a dream like we see in FNAF 4, but then changed his mind. This explains the new direction the games are going with that focus on more real life events in the real world and the fallout of the Fazbear name being ruined with Scott's games. I believe that this is the 2nd retcon Scott truly made, but will never mention. Remember, that Reddit post at the top of the video was made in 2017, before FNAF VR had come out, so this is certainly a possibility. Anything taking place after this post could be used as another retcon, and that post would still have been true at the time. Hell, FNAF 6 came out in December of 2017, so anything after and including Pizzeria Simulator can contain another true retcon that Scott could consider a retcon. And that could have been the Dream Theory idea that he abandoned after gauging public reaction thanks to matpat's video on the topic. I'm sure a load of you are with me. The majority of you, however, did answer yes to the Do You Believe Dream Theory poll on the top 10 craziest FNAF fan theories video premiere that we ended after the premiere. So if you want to come in and you want to be able to get a chance to see those exclusive polls, make sure you're popping in before the premiere video actually starts so you can see them, because I end it as the video starts. And ultimately, in at number 2, FNAF World. FNAF World was just retconned out of the story. Before you get mad at me for suggesting this, remember, FNAF World was at one point canon, and this is in fact the thing that introduced the FNAF multiverse, since if you linger on the starting screen long enough, or actually read the dialogue apparently from my experience, the screen changes and so does your mission. Instead of the original goal of the game, you end up trying to set up hints that we see in FNAF 3 to unlock the Happiest Day minigame. Coincidence? It's literally impossible. The FNAF 3 hints had to come from somewhere, and yet we never questioned them. This is what convinced me how this game was retconned out. The sheer existence of these hints makes FNAF World canon, and the link to FNAF 6 via the Old Man Consequences Easter egg is certainly something else to get into, but not in this video, especially considering how FNAF World came out before Ultimate Custom Night. FNAF World is canon. Scott just doesn't want to talk about it. Finally, and at number 1, the box. Ah yes, the biggest issue in FNAF lore, the mysterious FNAF 4 locked box that said perhaps some things are best left forgotten for now, but it was never revealed and it was never forgotten. That for now turned out like my parents' for now split. The box is one of the biggest questions we have in the series, and Scott just forgot about it and never mentioned it again. Why? Well, matpat believes that the contents of the box had changed, and that they did so multiple times. That it started out with items indicating that Crying Child was in the hospital, then moved to a picture of the family, and then was in fact the body of Crying Child, in reference to how Charlie Emily was found at the end of the Twisted Ones novel, revealing that Charlie was in fact a robot in a series of robots. Yeah, this is what, at least at the time, matpat believed to be the case, and it's a good point, since Scott could really alter anything he wants that we don't know the truth about, and then we would be none the wiser. So this begs the question, what's in the box now? What do you think? What do you believe is inside the FNAF 4 box? Let me know in the comments. There we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF retcons. Which retcons do you hate the most, and which ones did you like the most? Be sure you let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.